let's go untie the boat. Well, I need to start the motor and have the little pressure on. We'll just have it slow, a little bit of mud, so I better raise it up some. Go face the mosquitoes. I wouldn't have to move if it wasn't for the mosquitoes are so bad here that it's not worth staying here. It's just not open enough to provide decent wind through the area. They just attack you and do not give up. They're relentless. I think I'm set. Came off easy. That's nice. Well, we're not going far. It's 5 miles or so. Got a track going. You get a little breeze out here. It's kind of comfortable. Boy, the bugs were terrible in there. So we'll probably anchor up there. There's no campground supposedly, so I'm guessing that I'll be anchored. We'll hand steer until we get out of the channel, and then I'll put the autopilot on. Don't really need it right now. Other than some haze, it's pretty clear. So the solar panels will get their fill. That's a good thing. Temperature in here is a little warmer, 58 right now. How long that lasts is another question. I'll go ahead and put the autopilot on. All right, the autopilot's on. Wandering a little bit. Hopefully it'll get squared away here shortly. We'll just steer by compass here. It's doing the same kind of wandering in the morning here. I don't know what that's about. In the auto mode, it doesn't want to hold course. About 2,200 RPM, 6 miles an hour. That's probably all I'll push it for. There's no need to hurry. It's already pretty bright this morning. It's supposed to get pretty hot. I'm not happy about that, but I can't complain. We had really good days of temperature. Yeah, the autopilot just doesn't want to hold course. You see that kind of that rocky point on the starboard. Actually, right behind that is where I'll be anchoring, at least according to what I see on the chart. There's a point on the left here too, so I've got to be careful. Looks kind of low in here, so it's going to be mosquito-y. But it does provide good coverage in here, so we'll come in and anchor just inside that spit of rocks going out there. So we can take advantage at least of some wind that might come in, although right now it's calm. It's getting a little shallower. Water clarity is not what I was hoping for this lake. On Superior, you wouldn't have any trouble seeing down 15, 20 feet, even Temagami, but not here. I think maybe 5 feet is about the most. Oh, this is really low in here, a lot lower than I suppose one thing we could do is go on. We wouldn't have to stop here. Well, not my favorite spot, that's for sure. I'll just have to look at my map. I don't want to do that while I'm trying to cruise in here, so and see what the possibilities would be. There is a campsite on the other side, I think, of the point. I'll need to look at that. It's not as well protected, but I'll take a look at the forecast winds. Let me see what I can find on this. Supposedly windy tomorrow out of the southeast. Let's go take a look at it, because I don't like this one. And I think we'll go around the corner, around this point. It's shallower here than it was where I was at before, so I'll go back over there a little bit more. It's supposed to be windy tomorrow out of the south, so we've got time to go look at it, and if it's no good, then we can always come back. So folks, we punt. Let's see what options we can find around the corner. It's probably a mile over there, but I got a few rocks out here that I got to avoid, so we've got to go out a little ways. Just by the two reefs here, you can see some rocks over on the right. but there's some underground or underwater reefs between here and there. So I'm just trying to make sure I go plenty clear of them. You can see a ridge here underneath. It's coming up slowly, but I should be by it here pretty quick. Yeah, it looks like it's going down again. Yeah, we can start turning. Oops, big peak coming up there. Came up to 30 feet, where normal depths are about 60, so. Looks like a lot of higher terrain out to the west there, or northwest. Island out to the, a couple of islands out to the northwest that remind me of Pie Island in Thunder Bay. Kind of squarish. All this calm water is supposed to change, I guess, the next 24 hours. The good part is that it'll bring cooler weather back. So there's some kind of front coming through. Water temperature's a little warmer, 61. Conceivably, I forgot to check when I was back there in that shallow bay. It was probably warmer in there because it was fairly shallow. All right, there's a little island there on the right. Just beyond that, there's kind of a hook of a point that comes out, and that's behind that is where this campsite is, and maybe an anchorage. A little breeze coming up now might help keep the bugs down, and with things in our favor, we'll find an anchorage that was better than the one we were in. Well, I haven't seen any boats, no canoes, no kayaks. I hope it's a clear sight and a good anchorage. It's not good to the northwest, I can see that, but the winds that we're supposed to get should be okay. Problem I'm having is that the forecast that I get with Zoleo doesn't match very well with the long-term forecast that I printed out when I left home. And that seems to have been more accurate than Zoleo. Well, we're coming up on our anchorage. Right ahead of us there, that point. Should see a campsite soon after that. There's kind of 2 points, actually 3 on the right. The second one should have the campsite. And well, maybe we'll see why they didn't designate this as a anchorage. Probably because it's open to the northwest. All right, there's the second point. It's supposed to be a campsite there. Now there's a sandy beach back over here on the right. It's a nice feature if you want to swim. Start slowing down here. There's certainly rocks for them to pull up canoes on. There is a little bit more terrain around here. It's not as swampy. Fairly flat bottomed here. Well, I see no campsite. Usually they're fairly visible. I don't see one. And right now I need to concentrate on getting the anchor down. It's supposed to be right on that point. This looks okay, much better, much more scenic than the other one. A nice breeze coming right now too to keep the bugs off. Well, I'll tuck up in this corner here. Looks like a fairly weedy bottom. All right, that should be good. Yeah, let's put it down here. All right, we're here. Anchor's down. About 7 feet of water. Could put out a little bit more line, I guess. And hello, folks. I just finished my grilling hamburger and had some chips and a cold beer, and that was dinner for the evening. I usually eat a little early because I only do 2 meals a day. Some of you already know that. I ended up going to an alternate site today. I was going to go to I think they call it Henry's Harbor, which is just south of here, on the other side of this kind of peninsula I'm on. But when I went in there, it was very low, uninviting. It was going to be buggy, I could tell just by looking at it. And so I passed up, came up to this site, and I'm going to rotate the camera around so you can see some of the surroundings here as I rotate in the wind. Off in the distance there is called Mount Royal. That's on Jackknife Island. I think there's supposed to be a fire tower or something up on top of there, but I couldn't see it in my binoculars. My anchorage, my alternate anchorage when I came up here, this was just, it was not shown on the chart as being an anchorage. It was shown as a campsite. I wasn't sure, what, it obviously is a little open to the northwest because that's the direction of that island. However, with other winds, it's a very protected anchorage, and I'm very happy with it. And it's much more scenic, older growth forest around here. It's just much more pleasant. On coming in, I looked for the campsite but did not see it. So this afternoon, I've just been kind of plotting and scheming, trying to figure out what to do next. Tonight I'll have winds. Probably tomorrow I'll have winds, so I'll probably be here 2 days. But we'll see. Sometimes the forecast is wrong. I think what's going on is the weather patterns are moving quicker to the east and changing the forecast. But that being the case, around the middle of the night here, I should get some 15, 16 knot winds. And that's more than I want to tackle on terms of wave height. There's a long fetch to the southwest, and that's the direction the wind's going to come from. Expecting the winds to build pretty good, or the waves to build pretty good. So I won't even try if that wind is blowing. The forecast does not come to be as they show. Then I'll move up to a place called Mountain Islands. From where you see Mount Royal, it's off to the right about 30 degrees and pretty much straight north here from here about 6-7 miles. And that's where I would go. There's no campsites up there. There's no anchorages, at least marked. However, it looks to me like there's some places that could work. So I'm going to try it, but only if the conditions are favorable. For the most part, it's been quiet, very relaxing. There's been a nice breeze come through the cabin. There's some guys out of Minneapolis that are up here fishing. They came out of the west side of the lake, and we were supposed to meet up and do a shore lunch somewheres up here. But anyway, I have not heard yet where they're at. They'll probably send me their position before too long and let me know where they're at. So it'll be interesting to see what they end up doing. I told them if we didn't meet up, that's okay. I come up here with the intention of being by myself anyway, so be out here and not see a person. And so far, in almost a week, I've only seen 2 boats. I've only talked to one, and that was the one that stopped. They were from Minneapolis. And then the other one was yesterday morning. As I came across the open stretch of water, I saw a trawler near one of the campgrounds on just south of St. Paul Island. But that's it. I haven't seen anybody up here yet. I'm talking to them, so I know they're in the area, but I haven't seen them yet. So it's kind of in flux here to see what the weather does. I'll check it again usually before I go to bed, I check it to see what's going on. But so far, they haven't made much change. And they're calling for around midnight, to go to 13 to 15 miles an hour, and then it increases. It kind of stays that way all day tomorrow. I'm in an anchorage here which is very well protected for south, southeast, southwest. The only exposure is northwest. Anyway, that's enough for now, and we'll be in touch. Harbor's really calm tonight. Glassy smooth. You can see that fish just jumped out there. And it's been just really relaxing. So I'm just sitting here enjoying that time in the evening when it's probably prime time, when you've got fairly calm and quiet. It's still warm. The temperature says 80 degrees. The water temperature is 60, so it feels cooler than it is. Air temperature is still about 80, and inside the cabin is 80. So it's really warm today. There was a breeze earlier, and it was blowing through the cabin, and that kept it pretty cool. And like I say, with a water temperature like that, it's just like having the air conditioning turned on, even though it indicates a warmer temperature than it feels like. So this evening, I'm just taking it easy. I flew the drone a couple of flights, talked to the fishermen that came up from Minneapolis. They're over at Logan Island, about 20 miles northeast of here. Evidently caught quite a few fish. They got their limit of walleye, one whitefish. I think they said they got a trout too. I can't remember. So they said they had a productive day. They want to try to meet up tomorrow sometime, maybe for a shore lunch, although my observations so far have not shown that there's much in the way of shore places to even go ashore, unless you can find a campground that's already established. And I'm not going anywhere based on what the wind shows. I'll be stuck right here. So it sounds like the wind will come up earlier than I thought. I think the whole system is moving in quicker than they forecast. Now the winds are going to be up as early as 10 o'clock tonight, which isn't far away. It's flat calm right now, but it's supposed to get up to about 12, 15 knots, miles per hour, I should say. We've got some wind coming. I won't plan to move because there's just to the southwest of here, and south and southwest is just wide open water for 15, 20 miles. And with that kind of wind, it's just going to build big waves. Doesn't have to have big wind to build waves when there has that long a fetch. Too much for this boat. So I'll stay put. And if they decide they want to do a shore lunch, they'll have to come down here, I guess, and we'll do it at Anchor or something. Had strawberries and ice cream tonight. That was kind of a new treat on a trip. I bought the strawberries primarily for breakfast, and then I had a hankering for ice cream because it was so hot. But I just didn't feel like Bailey's today at ice cream. That's real sweet, and I really wanted strawberries. So I thought, well, I'll take some of the strawberries that I use in my cereal and use that with ice cream instead. And it was great. Real treat. Then I had trouble with my solar generator. It acted up and shut down. There was a fault. I was trying to recharge the drone batteries, and I have an adapter that fits into a 12-volt connector, and that failed. It faulted the solar generator, shut it down, and it would not allow me to restart the generator for quite a few minutes. And in fact, the only way I could do it was to disconnect the solar and then completely shut it down, and that would reset it. But it will not shut down when you have solar connected, because as long as there's solar energy in that it's seeing, it won't shut the generator down. So the only way to shut it down was to disconnect the solar, reset it, reconnect the solar, then reconnect the refrigerator. And I got that back on. But in the meantime, I had the fridge and freezer shut down for a while, and I thought, wow, I'm going to be in trouble if I can't get this going. And I don't think I have the manual for the Bluetti on board. I think I have everything else under the sun, but not the Bluetti solar generator. I don't have that manual. Well, it's probably on my computer, I guess. So I probably do have it. So I had a little excitement running around trying to fix that stuff this afternoon. And we'll see later on some of the drone flights. I put up a makeshift shield over the windshield to block the sun so that the aft deck was in the shade. So I was able to use it more today, even though there was a lot of sun. I carry some of that stuff just in case you need it. It's good for both blocking the sun as well as rain if I get adverse rain. Otherwise, not much happening. It's flat calm out there, very peaceful, nothing moving. I've seen, very little activity, even just small birds. I hear them chirp now and then, but it's pretty quiet. Probably see more activity fish jumping than I do anything else here. Yeah, there was a woodpecker, so you could probably hear that. Probably a pileated. It sounds like a big one. I saw a pileated woodpecker yesterday. Tried to get a picture, but I don't know if I got him because he was pretty sly and he moved behind the trees, so I couldn't get a good shot. But they're a big woodpecker. They're about 15 inches, 12, 15 inches long. And I've only read, I think I read a chapter or two out of gray owl, but that's it. I have very little reading, no audiobooks. Just enjoying the quiet peacefulness of this anchorage. I'll give you one more look out there over the lake before we go to bed. It may be clear enough tonight. If there is some northern lights, I might get a chance to watch for them later on. But it's still pretty hazy. The sky is very hazy, so it's going to be hard to see anything. It's unfortunate. Just so many fires up here that it's impossible to have clear air this time of year. It's one of the benefits of going in the fall, is you usually don't have those fires. Clearer air, better time to see the northern lights. And we'll talk to you folks again tomorrow.
All right.